Hi, I'm Erica Mabian. I am the iSpark STEM Coordinator for Kansas City Public Schools, and welcome to KCPS Homeroom. Today we're going to talk about computer programming, more specifically, conditional programming. You will find computer programming similar to writing a story, and we're going to talk about all of those types of things and get in depth on how to do programming using our block programming. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is log into scratch.mit.edu/name. This particular program is going to be one that you can create a fun and creative way to animate your name. Your to-do list for today is going to include choosing a letter, making it change colors, add sound, and a backdrop. You're going to be able to do that for each individual letter of your name. All right, so let's see. The purpose of what we're going to do is to really focus on those if-then statements. If this happens, then it will cause a chain reaction to something else happening, or the other thing will occur. So, one of the things that you're going to be able to do is play sound when it is clicked, when your letter is clicked, change colors when your letter is clicked, and spin and grow your letter when you click it. All right, so here's the first example. We've chosen the letter Q. For this particular program, we started with the event block. The event block tells us when this sprite is clicked, then it's going to play the sound meow, like a cat. It's going to continue to play meow until it's done for the duration of time that the program is coordinated. So you want to click your event block and choose your sound block. If you'd like to change the sound and you don't prefer a meow, if you click the downspout arrow, there are other options, or you can record your own sound. Okay, so we just finished programming the first letter that we are going to use. Letter Q, we've made that have sound. Let's move on to the next letter. Our next letter is going to be a K. For this particular one, we use when the sprite is clicked, we're going to be able to change the color and the effect by 25. 25 is going to be our variable. The 25, you can change that to whatever number you'd like. Play around with it and decide on how you want to change the number or what you want the number to be. And you can also choose the downspout arrow here in order to have a different option. So first, choose your event block when the sprite is clicked. Then you choose your looks block, change the color by the effect. And the effect is going to be the type of color or the range of the color that you're wanting. Let's move on to the next letter. All right, for the letter T, we're going to make this one spin, and we're starting with our event block when the sprite is clicked. Then we move on to, we want this one to repeat. It's going to have a loop. So we have our repeater block, and we have this set for 15. So it's going to make 15 consecutive spins before it stops. And within that program, it's going to change its size by 10. Again, there's that 10 is a variable, so you could change that number. So the first part of our program is going to be when the sprite is clicked, repeat 15 times, change the size by 10. And that's going to go for a consecutive 15. Now let's move on to our second part of that program. Repeat by 15 again. So those are going to match. So they're going to stop at the same time. This time we're going to change our size by a -10. So that means our size is going to get smaller. So by looking at this program, I noticed that if we click the sprite, which is the letter T, our size is going to get larger by 10 and get smaller by 10 for a 15 count duration. So both of those are going to match. So let's move on to the next letter. All right, our next letter is letter I. This one, we are going to make the sprite grow. So let's see, when the sprite is clicked, that's our event block. Our control block is going to be repeat 10 times. That is within our loop. And our next one is going to be turn 15 degrees. Our sensing block is telling us to turn 15 degrees. So wait 1 second. So all of those together, that lets me know that when I click the sprite, which is our letter I, it's going to repeat 10 times. Our loop is going to be turn 15 degrees, wait 1 second, turn 15 degrees again, wait 1 second. And it's going to continue that path for a consecutive 10 times. All right, so I want you guys to practice these if-then statements. Pick out your letters and figure out what type of programs that you could make. Tweet out your programs and make sure you tag us at KC Public Schools and use our hashtag KCPSSchools@Homeroom. All right, let's check out another program. This particular one is going to show us about those if-then statements. If you take a look at the program that I've created, I have a backdrop here, and the backdrop matches the scenery and the actions that are going on in the program. The backdrop that I've chosen is a sea. They're underwater, and appropriately, I've chosen a diver and a shark. And a couple of things also that we have here is the man is talking. So those are all things that I programmed within this particular pattern. So let's take a look at our program. So there's a lot of things going on in our program. When I look at the backdrop, the stage is listed on the right side of the screen. You're able to change that and modify that by choosing this choose backdrop icon, and then you're able to go in and change the backdrop or add some color or even upload a backdrop of your choosing. For our characters or our sprites are listed here in this control box. So in the back of our stage, we're having a shark, and it's already pre-animated, and we also have a diver, and he also has some animation also. So let's take a look at the program that I gave for the diver. I know that this program is for the diver because it has the sprite named diver right in our control box. So I know that that's the one that I'm programming. If I select the shark, it will highlight and I can change it. Then I notice that our sprite is listed there and it says shark, and then the program that is used for the shark is listed. So let's just start with the shark. So for the shark, I programmed it with starting with our event block when the green flag is clicked. Then I told the program to switch to the underwater. I wanted to make sure that my backdrop was set for underwater because I thought that was the most appropriate way to create our storyline. Next, forever, that means that my loop is not going to stop. But what do I want my loop to do? So within my loop, I programmed it to wait just a little bit of time. So I did 0.1 seconds, move 10 steps. So that shark is going to move 10 steps, stop and wait for 0.1 second. Then he's going to change costumes. That means that he's going to switch colors or switch directions if he bounces to the edge. And that will ensure that my shark stays in my scenery the whole time. So let's take a look at our shark. When he bounces to the edge, he goes right back looking for that diver. And he's going to bounce to the other edge, and he's going to go right back looking for that diver. His actions and his loop, remember we programmed that to forever. So let's take a look at the diver blocks that we programmed. All right, so our program started with when we click the green flag, and then our costume is going to be our diver. So we're able to also change that. So I'm going to click that down arrow so you can see exactly what our options are. So I can have it be diver 1 or diver 2. So I'm going to keep my diver 1 because that's where we were. I have a hide and a show, and it's kind of hidden in our program. So we want to show diver 1, and then here's that loop again. So let's see what our conditions are for our loop. So our loop is going to say repeat forever. We're going to have a continuous motion of that diver. He's going to wait 0.01 seconds and then move 10 steps. So he's going to fly a little bit through the water. And when he touches that edge, he's going to bounce back also. But then there's a little caveat I added to make this program a little bit more interesting. I told it, if you touch the shark, because we know what happens when the shark gets you. The shark is going to get him. And when it does, I programmed it to say, ah. So he's going to say ah for 1 second. So let's take a look at our program and see if he's getting close. If you watch that diver, he's going to keep swimming. That shark's going to keep swimming. And when they collide, just like that, he's going to say ah, and he will disappear. So let's continue on with our program and take a look at what else is going to happen. So here's that loop again. I know it's in the loop because it's in those large brackets, and that's my if-then statement. He says, ah, broadcast the message, say it for this long, and then he waits. He's going to disappear, so we have that hide, wait 3 seconds, come back in a random position, and show himself. So here we are down to the last thing. So after he reappears, he gets to switch to a new diver or the next costume. So if we take a look at that program, we can see that there are a lot of different options for our conditional statement and what we can program our shark and our diver to do. So this is going to be our conditional statements for if then. If the shark runs into the diver, then he's going to say ah, and then he's going to disappear and then reappear as it's programmed. So I really want you to practice out those if-then statements and see how creative you could get. You could have your program be a soccer game, and when that player runs up to that ball, he kicks it. So if the player runs up to the ball, then the ball will roll because the player has kicked it. There are a lot of variations to your if-then statement that you could create just by writing down your program, creating your storyline, deciding on your backdrop and your characters that are going to be involved. So let me show you where you can find all of your programs that you're wanting to use, all of your blocks. The first set of blocks are our motion blocks. They let our characters move in all different types of directions. They keep our characters in motion, and they get to have the position that we program it. The variables, which are all the circle with the numbers inside, we're able to change those. If we click inside that number, we are able to change that variable and make it be whatever we like. There's no wrong or right within your program. Just plug them in, start small, check it out, click the green flag and see how you like it, and then you can continue on with the next program. So these are our motion blocks. They help our sprites or our characters have motion. Then we have our looks blocks. They're purple. A lot of the looks blocks allow our characters to talk. So particular this one, you can have it say hello, but you can change that. If you click inside the box, you can type in the words that you would like for it to say, or if you're so inclined, you could record your own voice and have it in there. You can decide how long you want them to talk by changing the variable of the time in the program. And then down below, there are a lot of other different options. So I suggest playing around with it, plug in some blocks and see what you come up with. Our sound blocks, they're really fun. They're programmed with lots of sounds. You can include some that are already listed or record your own. Your event blocks begin your program. If you notice, my event block in my program was right at the top, and the one that I chose was click the green flag, and that will initiate my program. I can just go over to the green flag on the right and get it started, or if I want to reset my program, I'm clicking the red stop sign. So the event blocks start your program. So you have a lot of different ways. You can do the space bar, or you could click the sprite, or you have a lot of other different things that connect to your program and how you want your program to do and whether the conditions are that you want your program to start. Underneath those event blocks are our control blocks. Our control blocks help us determine how we want things to go. That's your waits. Those are your loops, your forever and repeats. Your if-then conditional statements are in here. So like this particular one, if I do something, then. So the something is another block that we have to add. And that leads us to our sensing blocks. Our sensing blocks are kind of like when you play tag and you notice that someone touched you and you're like, oh, I'm out. Your sensing blocks are like that, and you're able to have different control over what you want it to do. So here are our sensing blocks. We just pop those in our control blocks based on what you would like for it to do. You could change the color. You could have it touch different things depending on your program and how you want it to do. You can even have it ask questions. You could have your characters have a conversation within your program by having them use the sensing blocks, because that will tell your program when this person talks, then the other person can talk. So the last couple of ones that we have are our variables. Our variables help us an opportunity to activate our math, because as you can see here, they have a greater than, less than, some equals, and some other equations. So you get to decide on how you want to use that and how that is applicable to your program. And last are our variable blocks. Our variable blocks, you can make one, you can have a list of them, or choose some from other programs that you find are useful and borrow those for your programs. So this has concluded our section on conditional programming. Please tweet out your programs and make sure you tag KC Public Schools and hashtag KCPS Homeroom. Have fun coding in Scratch. And this is Erica Mabian. I am the iSpark STEM coordinator for Kansas City Public Schools. Have fun coding.